is the Hartford Online Radio Network. 21st Century Audio. Delivered. onthehorn.com.
Hey folks, good evening. It's another Tuesday evening. It's Hartford Online Radio Network on onthehorn.com, and this is Open for Business, the show that features hands-on business owners, managers, entrepreneurs discussing everything and anything that has to do with running a business here in the 21st century. Our sponsors are Gateway Financial Group, the accounting firm of Budwitz and Meyerjack, Sherpa Technology, CentralCTDental.com, the homes of Dr. Camp, Sambora, and Lupini, and Deepwater Seafood of Avon. First off, I want to introduce Ken Cook. Ken is a new co-host here of Open for Business, so welcome on board here, Ken.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. And Brian, and we got a packed house here this evening.
The live studio audience.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. And our real guest here is a buddy he's back for a second evening. We've got Eric Knight. Hey, Eric, how are you?
Hey there, Tom. How are you doing?
Good to see you.
Likewise.
Eric, I don't even know where to begin with all the things that Eric does, from rocket scientist to marketing guru to guitar player, songwriter, and a whole list of other attributes and talents developed over the years. You're welcome.
I'm blushing.
Well, it's true, though. I'm not blowing any smoke here. All
Thanks.
These things are true. But what really motivated me, and I believe you too, to have you back to the show was the fact that right now you are a regional director with Startup Connecticut. Right. And the things that you've shared with both Ken and I and the rest of our group in our peer-to-peer advisory group really has been interesting and motivating us to have you come back.
Oh, thanks.
So give us a little bit of an overview to begin with the Startup Connecticut, what it's all about and what's going on.
Okay. Startup Connecticut is under the umbrella of the Startup America Partnership, which is a national organization that works directly with the states, and Startup Connecticut is one of those states. Essentially, the organization is to help entrepreneurs with resources and potentially with connections to funding to help birth them, help them take them out of the garage or out of the environment that they're in and take them to the next level, to actually bring them forth, and ultimately to create employment and jobs. And I'm fortunate to be one of the regional directors. You said Danny Briere is the statewide director. He's a great entrepreneur himself, and he asked me to come on board, and we're just working through the state and aligning things. We really just over the last few months are really starting to pull things together.
I know Danny. I didn't realize that he was playing a significant role in this.
He's the state director. There you go.
That's
so
great.
A small world.
He and I exchanged emails this morning, he hasn't said anything to me about that.
He's very busy in this, and he's the one that rose his hand when they were asking who would like to be the leader of this in Connecticut and back last spring. And he's taken the reins and is doing some great things for the state.
So whose brainchild was this?
Well, this was, again, the brainchild of Scott Case and Steve Case, both famous entrepreneurs in their own right. One, the co-founder of Priceline, or founder of Priceline, and the other co-founder of AOL. So these are two heavyweight entrepreneurs who came together with this idea to create this organization to empower entrepreneurs on a national level, built on pillars of state presences. So that's kind of the overall structure.
I don't think you're giving enough justice to the resources in the state that are going to be directed towards this. So fill us in a little bit, if you would, on the kinds of resources and initiatives that the state is putting behind this.
Well, the state is a partner in this as well. It's a very interesting quilt of resources.
That's a good word for it.
And there's just so many things going on. On a statewide level, I'll back up and just kind of give you a framework. On a statewide level, there's some phenomenal things going on for entrepreneurs in the state. The state, under the guidership of the governor, who's been amazing in terms of his vision and promoting entrepreneurship and business growth in the state. There's also the Connecticut Economic and Development, DECD, Development Economic and
Department of Economic and
Development.
I
just call them DECD, and I had to unwind the acronym there. And also Connecticut Innovations. And together they are empowering entrepreneurs through developing regional innovation hubs in Connecticut. And there's going to be these hubs that are being developed throughout the state. And in conjunction with that, there's intertwining of the Connecticut, the startup Connecticut, and it's a birthing quilt that's being developed, and it's all being intertwined through a number of different levels. So
one purpose and
well, the purpose is really to create to help entrepreneurs and grow jobs.
Jobs.
It's really jobs are
jobs.
Yeah, so that's really what's happening.
Maybe a cart before the horse question, but I'll ask it anyway. From inception to the day the first job happens here in the state of Connecticut, what kind of time frame is that, or is it already happening?
This is already happening. I mean,
Excellent.
this is already happening, and think of it as an accelerator for everything that's going on. It is really providing the juice to these companies that are needing these resources to really spring forth. So,
and is there a projection as to a year from now, 5 years from now, the kinds of job creation and growth that this will generate?
Well, there are numbers for a lot of it's by region and how many different jobs would be in a region at different levels. I mean, you have really startups, and you also have second stage businesses. We're talking many hundreds of jobs over a short amount of time. So really, think of it as a business accelerator with many different touch points into the state. So between what's going on through Startup Connecticut and what the state is doing itself, and other programs that are happening on many of the university campuses around the state and with entrepreneurial programs, it's all intertwined in order to build a very robust, what we call an innovation ecosystem here in Connecticut. And there's been a lot of things going on, and this is really putting the pedal to the metal.
The energy behind this is incredible. I mean, I visited Eric out at the UConn campus in Stores, and he was telling me about all of the ideas that are going on. They just finished a startup weekend how long ago?
Back at the end of January.
Yeah.
And that was a whole other endeavor that's folded into this. Startup Weekend is a worldwide organization that has these basically a weekend 54-hour events.
Yeah.
The idea, and over a course of 54 hours starting on a Friday night, is to birth ideas and have them by the end of those 54 hours actually be full-fledged businesses by the end of those 54 hours. So we were fortunate. We've had 3 startup weekends in Connecticut, New Haven, Hartford, and Stores.
Yep.
The last one was in Stores in the last, in January, and we had 64 business pitches. Basically everybody lines up. You give a 1-minute business pitch. So you had 64 of them. The top 12 were then voted upon by the audience, about 150 people who were there. And over the course of the 54 hours, resources are plowed into those businesses so that they're birthed by the end of the 54 hours. It's just really incredible.
Then you go to sleep.
Share with us when you say resources, who's there as a support group?
Mendy, what we do is provide mentorship. So senior business owners are there. We provide 2-hour windows. We kind of rotate them in through the 12 participants. We then have artists and designers, programmers. A lot of these are web apps, or so we had programmers there on just ready. We had how many? It was 31 programmers who volunteered their time over the course of the weekend to just be at the ready to provide.
How great is that?
So you had senior business people, you had financial experts, marketing people. We had people who were designers and artists to create logos. We had programmers, all to support this nurturing, a very fast nurturing system, so that by the end of that period, you'd have real businesses come out the other end.
Give us an example. What was one of the businesses that came out of Stores?
Okay, one business that wasn't even conceived until they were in the room itself. They were in line to make a presentation, and one of the other presentations, it clicked an idea in the presenter's mind. Essentially, it was something to help. It was called Sobrio, and a name they just came up with on the fly.
Sobrio.
Sobrio.
Okay.
And it was to, when you have, particularly for college campuses, when there's drinking, okay, and you want to be able to get back to your dorm or your residence, you would then be able to push a button on a cell phone. It would send your GPS coordinates to the network of essentially designated drivers or drivers at the ready, and make that connection so someone can pick you up and bring you to your location, all by a push of a button.
What a brilliant idea.
And it was just an idea that dawned on them during and so it was one of the ones that was voted on as one of the 12 best ones.
That's cool.
And
That's a great idea.
people, And what was really interesting is that I mentioned there were 31 programmers and there was 64 presenters. What was really neat, really kind of the organic nature of this, is the ones who did not get selected as one of the 12, they didn't just leave. They then went and supported the other 12 teams. They said, hey, I like this idea. So you had the programmers working on these. The other participants who were not selected, but they wanted to be involved, they just came on. So you were forming these companies on the fly. And it was, and so of course at that time, we outlined this product or service, and it was developed, programmed, logo developed, I mean the whole soup to nuts, so that by the end of the day on Sunday, there was a real application developed and a website, and the whole thing was functional. That would normally could take months. And it was done in 54 hours. So
now,
that's the type of thing that's going on.
Is there a tracking mechanism? Do you guys stay in touch now with these 12 businesses?
That's right.
And explain how that unfolds.
A lot of it's very organic. We're trying to put some process to it, but we get so us mentors and business, we fall in love with these businesses, and we just want to continue to help. And right now it's in a very unstructured way that we just say, hey, look, let's keep this going and help you out. What we're trying to do is provide some structure to that and some flow and overall context so that we can do this on a very regular basis and follow them through to help if they need funding or whatever works, so that we just don't say, okay, good luck. But the best thing, at that point, that's when they really need the support, and that's what we want to create a system that helps them through the whole pipeline.
You and I have talked a lot about these startup firms, but the other aspect of this Startup Connecticut operation and the innovation ecosystem that's really exciting to me is the level 2 companies.
Yes.
If the objective is jobs, startups are great dream makers, but normally a startup will not employ a whole lot of people. But the level 2 companies are the ones that can get to that next level with a little help, a little input, a little bit of financing, and that's really going to be quantum job growth.
And the state is really supporting both those stage 2 or that next tier and startups. The startups get a lot of the visibility because of these new cool things, but literally a lot of the engine behind a lot of what's going on, because of these established businesses, they have resources. They may just need some thoughts to make a lateral move with the systems they already have in place, and could then apply their resources into new fields and really create a booming growth of new jobs.
I want to just make sure, Ken, that our audience understands completely. I think we all do here in the studio, but expound a little bit on what you mean by level 2 company.
It's a business that's already existing, and it has a workforce in place. It has proven products, markets that it's serving, and aspirations for growth and capability for growth, yet lacks, as Eric said, that it might be some input on financing, it might be input on product development, it might be, okay, how do I open up a new market overseas kind of thing.
Right.
And that's where I think the resources really can be put to great ROI returns.
For instance, there may be a manufacturing company that is in their segment. They've plateaued in what they're doing, but they have all the internal resource, the manufacturing, to do some great things. If they either have an idea that they want as a similar product or even a different industry, but it uses the same mechanics, they could just make some lateral moves to be able to birth new types of businesses and products within their own walls with the resources they already have. So with a little input and guidance, they can do some dramatic things within their business, and that's something that's really important to support, because it can have immediately a direct impact on jobs.
I was talking yesterday. I had lunch with an owner of a metal finishing firm, and he's pushing probably 45, 50 employees. And his top sales guy brought in 2 new big accounts. He doesn't have the capacity to handle them. He's got a 4 to 6 month lead time in order to do that, but it opens up tremendous markets. He can add a 3rd shift. He can probably go from 45 people maybe to 65 in like that. That's the kind of real profound impact that the state could have.
Right. So if you look at that on a statewide level, there could be, when you asked how many jobs could this create, substantial, because just in one company, when you combine when we're talking about there's a lot of resources that are being collected to be able to support these, and you have all these businesses that are very receptive to it. So it's very exciting.
And I was just going to add to that, the manufacturing jobs today, they're not your grandfather's manufacturing environment. I mean, you walk into some of these plants, and it's like walking into the clean rooms in high tech, and the pay scales are phenomenal because the talent matches it. These are skilled workers. These are pay scales $18 to $25, $26 an hour.
Our guest last week, thanks to Ken in part, Bonnie Del Conte, spoke articulately in regards to just what you were discussing. Yeah. I have to believe, I'm going to put myself in the seat of our audience right now, that there are a number of people who are saying, so when's the next one? How do I get involved? Where do we go from here? Because this sounds way too juicy for me to be sitting here on the sidelines hearing about all this stuff and not knowing, how to get involved again. Yeah. So share with us a little bit.
Well, a couple of things. I mean, you can get involved because as we're birthing this Startup Connecticut, just go to just Google Startup Connecticut, and there's a lot of contact information there. You'll see how to get involved even on a fundamental level if you want to help organize, if you want to help, because this is really very much grassroots. It's people and business owners taking control of themselves and the lives that they're doing and impacting others. So if you want to get involved in the fundamental level, that's one way. Also, if you have businesses in need, that's just another way to contact that, to connect with resources that are there. There's a number of other programs, but I just poke around, Google things that are going on in Connecticut, and you'll find some great contacts.
Yeah, and then I don't think it's been finalized yet, but there's also going to be established some actual physical hub locations throughout the state. They haven't finalized the locations yet, but these will have incubators, for lack of a better term, where a company can go house themselves for 6 months to a year and have a panacea of resources available to them to help them get the business up and running. Once the concept's there, now you got to market, you got to sell, you got to build a little infrastructure, get your accounting taken care of, and everything else.
Yeah. So has this been one of Connecticut's best kept secrets, or is this relatively new?
Some of these things are new. With for instance, the hub system that we're putting together, that started. Actually, the concept was last spring, and really, I was very fortunate to be asked to be on what we call the steering committee, a group of statewide leaders to brainstorm on how to structure and orchestrate this mechanism. So that is still relatively new, and we're going to know within a month or two of how these things are really going to unfold here in Connecticut. So there's a lot of things still in work, as you say, So, but it won't take very long for these mechanisms to be in place because everybody's highly motivated to get it done.
And credit to the governor, all of this started under his administration.
Absolutely. Very impressive.
You must have been reading my mind, because I was going to say, Eric, you're one of 3 guests in the past month and a half that has really high-fived the current administration. And I know Brian's show antennas are going to go up right now because he loves politics. But tell us a little bit about that, because certainly with popular media, traditional media, whatever that means in this day and age, we're still getting bashed around quite a bit, and the stories that you're sharing with us are very positive stories. We'd like to see them become a little bit more mainstream. My question is, share what it's like to be a part of what's going on right now, including this current administration.
It's very exciting. It's hard to put into words, because it really, I don't know in my history of running businesses here in Connecticut where we've been in a more receptive time and a more energized time to do this. And it's really been under the new governor's leadership. He is asking people to perform, to get these things done, and people are rising to the challenge. And we're getting budgets for these things. So there's not just structures of things that aren't going to be supported, but the state sees that these are important investments to make, and it's just really an exciting time.
We have someone in the chat room. It is Robert. He's a plumber from Simsbury. He's got 3 employees, and his question to you, Eric, and I guess you too, Ken, is this for small companies too?
Yes, and as Ken was touching on, it's really for companies of any size, actually, but particularly from startups through established businesses that have, a certain base of employees. There is resource. That's the stage 2 companies that we were talking about. So yes, that would be something that would be very appropriate for an enterprise of that size.
What's the best way for Robert to? Is there a website for it, or how does he get involved?
Well, a lot of the statewide network is still being formalized, so that over the next couple of months things are still a little loose on that end. Best bet is really to connect with Startup Connecticut, and we'll put him in touch with the right people directly.
Okay, and you'll keep us up to date so Robert can just instead maybe stay in tune with onthehorn.com.
You may have him as a guest in a few months, and you can tell you about his successes through this.
Cool.
And just go to onthehorn.com.
That was really clever on your part, Brian. I like that. Robert, you just have to tune in every week. It's that simple.
And you tune in at onthehorn.com. Okay, it's 4 times.
That was very nice.
Just as a question, if Robert's still in the chat room and listening, what would he hope for or wish for as far as help and resources?
Sure, that's a good question.
Great question.
We'll wait to hear. No dead air, though.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, Eric,
yes.
A day in a life as the regional director. What does that look like for you?
Well, my day job. I mean, I'm doing a number of different things. So
what a surprise!
That's one facet. Primarily, I'm actually entrepreneur in residence at the University of Connecticut. So that's something we haven't touched upon here yet, but it's also part of this whole ecosystem that we're talking about. We've recognized that many of our innovations that are happening are right in our grasp, within our university system throughout Connecticut. All the universities are working together. We have these very smart, energized students with great ideas. We need to find a way to percolate those out. And most of my time during the day is working at the University of Connecticut, mostly the Storrs campus, to help students with ideas that they're having and helping them find resources to bring them forth. The other part of it, I'm also working with faculty. The faculty, through something, I have all these titles and all these different things I'm doing, but the manager of UConn's Springboard program. And the Springboard program is really to work with faculty throughout the university, because there are many entrepreneurs within the faculty with great ideas for technologies and business, and helping to commercialize those. So that's a good bulk of my time during the day is working with some amazing professors at Storrs, and also in networking throughout the state at other universities to be able to discover these gems and help them commercialize them. So that, as a day in the life, that's a good portion of it. Interwoven with that are my activities with Startup Connecticut, and also working to develop this hub ecosystem. So it all kind of meshes together. It goes back to the quilt thing that we were talking about before.
Tommy's got the magic response from Robert.
Absolutely. You know, Obama had Joe the plumber.
Yes.
We have Robert the plumber.
All right, Robert.
All right, cool.
So, Robert, again, we really appreciate your engagement here. And here's Robert's question. He's saying that at his company, 3 plumbers do all the work. So how does one compete with the bigger guys, undercutting his services and fees, and still pay, and good for you, Robert, still pay his employees a fair and equitable wage?
Right. A lot of it, I'll put my marketing hat on. A lot of it's marketing. You know, it's how to differentiate yourself from the big boys. It's really to find those more personal service, more friend type of relationship, and marketing that way. That will help you pull the rug out from under the larger companies that although they may do the same types of services, but it's a marketing approach that could help you leverage your specialties.
Yeah.
Ken, I want your 2 cents on that too, please.
For a 3-person plumbing firm, it's really, you need to take a look at how you got to where you are, where'd you get your business from, and then leverage that more and more and more, build those kinds of relationships. And when you get into Startup Connecticut, tap into the marketing resources, as Eric said. They'll be there. And tap into the strategic planning resources, because they'll be there as well. It's a matter of trying not to be all things to all people, finding a market where, as Eric said, you can really differentiate yourself, and then leverage that to the nth degree.
Absolutely.
And I'm just going to add to that, Robert, you take as great care of each and every customer that you have as you possibly can. That's really the name of the game, because people are going to remember you. Boy, this half hour is just absolutely flying by. I'm going to do a little bit of housework here. First off, folks, I want to remind you that we have Eric Knight with us this evening. Eric, thanks again for being here. Look forward to the next half hour. A reintroduction to my co-host, Ken Cook.
Glad to be here.
And we're glad to have you. Also, I want to remind you, if you're not following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, then you damn well better start sometime soon. And before we sign off for a few moments here, I want to read a commercial from one of our sponsors, CentralCTDental.com, homes of Doctors Camp, Zambor, and Lupini. Thank you, Brian. If there's a serious issue or routine checkup, there's nowhere else to go but CentralCTDental.com. They're easy to get to on the Plainville-Farmington line, and or you can call 860-747-5761 or mail in an appointment online at CentralCTDental.com. We'll be back in a couple minutes, folks. Thanks for tuning in.
Budwitz and Meyerjack PC is a large Connecticut-based CPA firm with offices in Cheshire and Farmington, Connecticut. Large enough to handle engagements of enterprises with annual revenues in excess of $100 million, yet small enough to cater to smaller businesses and individual clients who expect personalized attention from partners and staff. Client service is the cornerstone of our practice. Our clients have a fixed fee for their audit and tax work. What this means to the client is we're approachable. Personal communication and client services make for strong relationships. Budwitz and Meyerjack, certified public accountants.
Sandits Travel for business and leisure. We'll take you there. Sandits Travel has been proudly serving Connecticut since 1960. That's over 50 years. And we're ready for another 50 years of superior service. Whether you prefer to come in, call in, or log on, we invite you to explore how efficient, diverse, and fun it is to book through Sandits Travel. Save your money and your time with us. Sandits Travel. We'll take you there. You're on the horn.
Ooh, I like that. Hey folks, welcome back to Open for Business. With us this evening, Ken Cook and Eric Knight. But before we get to Eric and our conversation with him, I'm reading one more of our sponsors' commercials. This one is Brian's absolute favorite. He even came up with a joke for this one. It's Deepwater Seafood of Avon. Where were you, Brian?
Deepwater.
Thank you. And here's the joke, just for the halibut. Oh, dragging this show down in one fell swoop. Anyway, they're Farmington Valley's freshest seafood. You know, a little sidebar, Brian's going to get mad at me because he says I take too long. My partner said, hey, I went to this new place in Farmington Valley this past weekend with my girlfriend, had the best seafood. Deepwater.
Was it Deepwater?
It was Deepwater.
How cool is that?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Anyway,
great.
there's an unsolicited plug. They're going to work with you in your schedule, so if you call ahead at 860-676-9657 or even fax in your order at 860-677-2281, they'll have it ready for you. They'll set it aside, and you'll be ready to pick it up after work. Now, you're wondering what their hours are. It's Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6:30 p.m., and Saturdays they're open 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Here's what's on the menu. Sea scallops, fresh oysters, fish and chips, soups, bisques, chowders. If you're having a party, it's paella for 12. They'll throw in a salad. It's all you need. It's made with spicy chicken, sausage, scallops, shrimps, and you guessed it, Brian's favorite, halibut. There's only one place to go in Farmington Valley for fresh seafood. Thank you. It's Deepwater Seafood of Avon.
Deepwater.
So my first question, to just get this portion of the show underway, you know, we've spoken a lot about what's going on, and the schools keep coming up, and I'm a bit concerned that some of them might be tuning in or thinking this is for students only. So I'm going to start the conversation off by asking you, at this Startup Connecticut event, what was the demographic and psychographic profile?
Well, I think the best one to use, because it really wasn't a Startup Connecticut event. There was Startup Weekend that we had, and that was a really cross-section of society, really. You had students. It happened to be that particular one at UConn, which I helped organize, there was a good proportion of students because they were right on campus, but you had entrepreneurs from around the region of any demographic you can imagine. And so I won't even try to paint the different pictures, but if you can imagine a cross-section of business owners, entrepreneurs, inventors, they were all there with their idea and pitching it. So it's really quite the cross-section of Connecticut. So I don't know if that's it.
I want to slide into a different topic for a moment, and that is that actually this is Brian's world, the politics of things. there's been so much media beating up on Connecticut as being a not business-friendly state, ranked 45,
numbers,
46,
yeah.
47th out of 50. Everybody's leaving the state in droves. We have great kids that get educated, and then they go away. And frankly, this is a wonderful approach to competing. This is going back, and Eric used the right word earlier, that Governor Malloy is employing accountability in this process, because it is going to be about growth. It is going to be about jobs. It is going to be about being business friendly, and it's going to be able to say to competing states that are offering all these incentives, hey, Connecticut's fighting hard too. We're here. We've got good programs. We have good support. We have great education systems. It's the place to be.
Yeah, we want to kick butt. I mean, that's a state.
Literally.
We're tired of being kind of the rug.
Yeah.
You know, these numbers that everybody keeps circulating, and for us to have grown up here in Connecticut and live here, and we're tired of being that kind of the doormat. And that's why you see a lot of inspired business owners and entrepreneurs that are working round the clock, really, and that's why I'm volunteering with a number of these programs. Many people are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
We see an opportunity. The climate is right. The people are right. And we're not going to take it anymore. So we're going to be a leader in this, and that's where Connecticut was for many years. You know, the hub of entrepreneurism and innovation. We were right in the center of it, and we've just kind of lost our way a bit. So now we already have what we need. We're just trying to get back on track, and we have all the right people and resources to do it. And that's why very determined.
Any sense, knowing that this is birthed out of Startup America, as to how many other states have similar types of programs?
There's a number of states that are under the Startup America program. There's a dozen states or so that are coming forth and doing the same thing. But again, it's just one facet, because that's an independent entity that's really not associated with the state. It really takes the state climate and everything from the governor to the legislature to make it happen. And the Startup America or Startup State is just one facet of that. It really is the ecosystems that are being developed in each of these states that are really important. So it's a number of things all together.
Now, someone that attended the event in Stores or the other two locations that weren't one of the lucky winners, for lack of a better way of putting it, are they able to take that same business idea and
Absolutely.
go to Rhode Island or any other state that has this initiative?
They could.
Okay.
I mean, you know, that there's no strings attached to participate in what we're doing. And there's also the state. The other thing that we're doing is, you're going to be hearing more about this particularly over the next maybe 6 months, is starting to establish business plan competitions and business competitions, so that there's funding and available money to submit your ideas, to get some initial seed capital to be able to build these businesses. So little incentives, some incentives for entrepreneurs to really put forth their ideas and bring them to light. So you're going to be seeing things like that. That's going to be a really important element that the state will have, because other states, Massachusetts, for instance, has the Mass Challenge, which is a statewide business plan competition. It's been very successful. So we're also looking at best practices that other states are doing. You know, we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We wanted to see what others are doing and do it better. So we're looking at what is being successful in other states across the country, and we want to bring those best practices to Connecticut.
Yeah, and Eric hit on the mother's milk of business growth, and that's having capital to work with. And the fact that there's going to be private equity money in conjunction with the fast-track loan programs that Governor Malloy and the legislature have already passed.
Right.
I mean, they're hitting on all the notes that need to be hit on.
You need money. You have great ideas, but you still, at some point, you need money, and the state is finding ways or making connections to ways for capital. And putting the two things together, great ideas and money to get things going, those are the two ingredients, and we're doing that here.
So I'm going to ask you to put your marketing hat on. Not that it isn't always on. Or spin it around.
All right, there we go.
He's so uncomfortable in this role.
Boy, okay.
Do you feel that the state is doing all that they can do to market these initiatives, you know, as you've articulated?
At this moment, no.
Okay.
But there is, as you might imagine, also concurrently a marketing development effort underway to be able to better brand and promote the state. So not just creating things, you know, build it and they will come. That just doesn't work. So the state is also taking up a significant initiative, and that'll be rolling out also over the course of the year with branded programs, consolidated thoughts and ways to really, it's the missing piece. We need a way of being able to promote these great things that are happening, and those are being developed as we speak.
Excellent.
So that's the other piece, because otherwise, if we're creating all these mechanisms, but residents and business owners only hear them on radio programs, it's not going to. We need something that is much more. It should be something that everyone is talking about, and that whole marketing communications program is being developed.
All right, so it's the 13th of March, 2013, 1 year from now.
Mm-hmm.
You're back.
Okay.
Tell us what it looks like.
Well, it's going to be, I think, amazing, and we'll do a replay of this, and we'll see if if it matches
Fair
up.
enough.
I think you're going to see a well-branded program that everybody knows about and is talking about in terms of funding, where to go to be able to tap into these resources. You're going to hear about a number of business successes that are going to make the news.
Good.
You're going to hear about real successes that are happening on a regular basis, because these things are happening. It just needs that kind of accelerant to really get things going. So it's that support, the money, the state commitment, and these things are all coming into place. Again, this is all happening in a relatively short amount of time. So that's why when you ask, where should someone call or connect, those things are still being developed, those mechanisms, those connective mechanisms. But trust me, I'm seeing this every day, and they are being put into place. And within a short amount of time, they will be there. And then it's just, okay, the train's rolling. You can get on the train. You'll know what track to get on and where to get your ticket and such. So really, it's this whole business engine and this ecosystem being developed is happening, and I think it'll be a very fruitful time just a year from now.
Cool. I have one wish for the ongoing marketing effort.
Okay.
And I'm going to steal this from political campaigns that work.
Okay.
That is at least one drip of news from the campaign every day.
Yeah.
My wish is that this whole ecosystem, innovation program, Startup Connecticut, whatever you want to call it, there is a singular brand image that drips news every day at how well they're doing.
And I think if the job's done right, that should happen. And the drip should be a loud drip. It should be drips that are heard around the country, because what we're trying to do is attract businesses here as well.
Yeah.
It's one thing to build what we have, but there's another thing to draw in companies and build them, relocate them here, reverse the trend that we've had. And it's already started, with things that are happening. And that is, so we want to make sure those pieces of news are news on a national level.
Yep.
To really, plus it also provides even that much more energy here in the state, because if you know what's happening and getting word out elsewhere, you're going to feel even that much more empowered living here in Connecticut.
That national communication will occur if we focus on the businesses in Connecticut already.
Right.
Because they're going to tell.
Concentric circles all the way.
Yeah.
Though I know that there's more than one, but for some reason the Louisiana campaign comes to mind, where they were poaching in our backyard, running an ongoing TV campaign. I'm sure there were other touch points, saying Louisiana is a great place to start and run your business.
I remember Michigan doing the same thing.
Right. Yeah. All of a sudden, you're seeing other states buying airtime here, but you're not even seeing our own promotion. That's going to change. Same thing with tourism.
Right.
I mean, and tourism is also very important, because you want a place, if you're going to relocate, and you want your family to enjoy the surroundings. So bringing people here to experience Connecticut, which has a lot to offer, and getting people excited about even visiting Connecticut. That's the first step. Giving them a flavor for what we have going here. And then it gives them the inspiration to then maybe make a home of it for their business as well. So that Department of Tourism campaign is being developed, and that'll be coming online. That's another facet.
That's great.
When was the last time you saw a commercial for the Department of Tourism here in Connecticut?
And I'll speak firsthand, because we used to do a significant amount of work for the Department of Tourism, and it's been over a decade since my firm has seen anything that resembles a piece of business from them.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if there's anything else that's
for the last few years, there's been a $1 budget or $0 budget, literally in the state's budget. So
that sounds like how we operate here, Brian, on a dollar budget.
There you go. But that's changing.
If only we had $1.
So anyway, that's another important facet, and seeing all these things starting to being developed and coming online. That's why I'm very optimistic of where we're going.
This is great news.
So how many patents do you have to your name?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, come on.
I'm not going to get into some sort of list, but I have plenty of inventions. So
yes, you do.
So anyway, but
it's always been one of my fascinating things about you is the creativity that you have.
Well,
I'm intrigued with it.
I enjoy conceiving and creating solutions for people, whether it's in business or whether it's a product or a service. It's just
So would
it's
it be a
passion.
weird form of nepotism for you to offer your own business ideas to start up?
What's that? I didn't think about that, but I have to
Just another thing to put on his plate.
Let me hold a second. I'm gonna
That's
write
right.
that
A little
down.
pretzel logic here.
There you go. There you go. Now the resources are going to be able to help everybody, me included. But no, it's just going to be for entrepreneurs who have these ideas. It's just going to be a great. It's going to be a great opportunity to get businesses started and off the ground and funded and rolling.
You've spoken in depth in a couple of our peer-to-peer groups about the inspiration, and we hear it on a regular basis how the youth is our future. And you've spoken again in great depth and admiration about some of the students that you've had the pleasure of working with at UConn.
It is amazing.
Tell us a little bit about that.
That is one of the I'm helping businesses in all levels, senior businesses for the startups, but what's really one of my passions that I've discovered recently is working with the students at a variety of universities. I do a lot of work at UConn, but right after this program, I'm going to be going to Central. They're going to be having what they call an elevator pitch competition, where a number of the students have business ideas. So in a minute, they have to express their idea. They're going to be voted upon from mentors and entrepreneurs such as myself, and they'll be awarded cash prizes for their ideas to help them birth their businesses. So we're trying, and it's really just to give them that spark to get things going. And the energy that is on these campuses it's almost impossible to describe. They are just what I say, just need permission to go forth. They come up to me and say, Mr. Knight, we have this business idea. And I said, what are you doing with it? Well, we're not sure. I said, well, just go for it. This is a time in your life when you have minimal risk, responsibilities, you can do so much now. You can leverage the internet and the resources available for very little money to prototype things, to roll things out on a marketing basis, on a shoestring, and find out if these things are successful. And that's what students are doing in droves, hundreds and hundreds of small companies. The number of companies that are actually incorporated now at the undergraduate level, it's just amazing to see, and I know that just didn't exist even just a few years ago. For real incorporated fundable business and companies getting funded with students that have yet to graduate, it's really it's remarkable.
It's great to hear, and I don't know about for you, Ken, but certainly, I think I probably even participated at times. This up-and-coming generation has been trashed an awful lot, that there's a whole lot of entitlement issues,
Right.
lack of motivation.
That's right.
There's a wannabe, if I'm involved in the first 3 months, I should easily be vice president. Something or other. But what we're hearing from you is something dramatically different.
There are segments of there are things
our generation too.
but I've been incredibly impressed with the volume, the percentage of students who don't fit that mold, that are driven to help our country, to do social good, to find ways to just make everything better. And they are finding ways to create businesses to support those very healthy opportunities, and it's something that drives me every day. I have a long commute to UConn, and I don't mind making it every day because I know when I get there that I'm going to be empowered by the students and the faculty. Both ends are very important, and it is something that keeps me energized.
With all kudos to the optimism and the enthusiasm, are these students being given a reality check as well? And
sure.
Being told that, look, I love the idea, I love the enthusiasm. You're about to embark on a road that is going to be one of the hardest things you ever did in your life.
We talk about that all the time.
Good.
And we let them fail. We will let something fail because they need, if there's certain steps in the process, we will give them guidance, but ultimately they have to be able to, you just can't hold someone's hand all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so we will allow degrees of failure. Maybe they make a presentation to a prospect and it doesn't go well. We help them retrench and do it better the next time. So it's important, again, especially in the university environments, we have to remember that we're still teaching.
Yeah.
And they may have exuberance and ideas and energy, But in order for us to be doing our job, because eventually they're not going to be in the confines of a university, they have to also learn from their mistakes and provide with the right. It's a tough balance. You got to find. In some cases, you just have to just back off a little bit and let them discover for themselves, a little taste of the real world, and then provide them the support so that they're not crushed either.
Well, I think the phrase that you just used is a critical one, a real taste or taste of the real world. And I think that's where someone like you plays a dramatic role for these students. I had an experience going back many years ago where I was invited to be one of the founding directors of a charter school initiative coming to the state of Connecticut. And when they first brought me on the board, I'm thinking the first couple of meetings, what am I doing here? But then I realized not one of these individuals had any experience. They were all in the wonderful world of academia. No experience, zero, in running a business. And what if you know anything at all about the Charter School Initiative, they're responsible for a significant amount of their own funding, hence running a business. We need to find ways to generate revenue. And that's when a collective came across the rest of the board. I mean, when it came to curriculum and all of that, they certainly had it hands over foot over myself, but when it came to running business, that's when my worth came to be. Who, besides yourself, are there other folks like you that can teach, but at the same time have the real world experience?
Sure, and this is how we're trying to bring this. We're developing a mentor network through the state of Connecticut, so that that's going to be in place in this hub system that Ken mentioned earlier. So that's going to be something that's concurrently being developed. And also, just to give you another example of something that's going on and how this all fits together, at the University of Connecticut, we've instituted a new program, in addition, another entrepreneurial program called Innovation Quest. And Innovation Quest is a novel program that's actually, we're partnered with Cal Poly out in California. This is and we've a former alum from UConn, Keith Fox, who was in California, came back to Connecticut and said, look, I'll help. And Cal Poly's been running this program for 9 years. And they said, would Connecticut we'd like to expand this nationwide. But as an alum, he said, well, let's try it with Connecticut first. And essentially, it's a great two-part program. It is it's like a business plan competition, again, where you submit ideas, but it goes even further. It requires the students to develop prototypes of their ideas, not just things on paper that says, this looks like it would be good, but if they have a device that they've conceived, they have to build it. If it's some software, they have to program it. If it's a web service, they have to develop it. So the students are then required as a measurement of the success. And there's prize money, capital, like we were talking about, and students, for the first prize for this program is, I think it's $15,000, so some substantial money for a student. And 15, 10, and 5, I think, are the three first places. But their first task is to build a prototype, and we run workshops with mentors such as myself on a regular basis to help guide them through the process of developing things, writing things, figuring out how to develop whatever they're doing. Then there is essentially a judging that will happen after a couple of months. So we're in about 3 weeks from now, we're going to have this judging. The first, second, and third place teams will be selected. But this is where it's particularly unique. Instead of just, in some competitions, normally just write a check and you give some money and say, okay, go try to do your business. The second phase of the Innovation Quest takes hold. It's a 6-week incubator program, which starts right after graduation so that the university is allowing some of its resources and facilities to be available for up to 7 teams of students to be in this process. And we're going to, over that 6 weeks, have mentors and to work with them to help them take their idea to all the way through to fruition. So we're going to be providing, legal support, from business structure and into intellectual property. We're going to provide contacts with the angel investment and other venture capital community, other elements that we're going to pull it and plow that into those 6 weeks for these students, so that at the end of that period, they're going to have the support and the ideas fully ramped up for real businesses to flourish. So that's a really unique program that we're going to hopefully model in other colleges, but right now it's happening at UConn, and through, again, generous support from Keith Fox and Cal Poly. So again, I'm going through a number of things just to give you a flavor. There is so much going on. We could talk forever on this, but your listeners hopefully will get a sense that there is a lot going on. It hasn't getting a lot of publicity, but it will as all this is. You're catching this right in midstream. So you're getting a sample.
That's exciting. Well, it's
And,
part of the reason why we wanted to have you on the show.
So kind of behind the scenes, a little look behind the curtain of what's going on right now.
And he'll probably be mad at me, but oh well. This guy would be a great asset to all that you're doing as a mentor, etc.
Yeah, like I need something else on my plate.
You're on my list. You're on my list.
Sorry, Ken. You don't mind if I volunteer?
You're free. You're free for about 6 weeks. Right?
Yeah. I will be happy to do it if I can focus on the existing businesses, because that's where I get passionate.
Yeah.
I can't emphasize enough how much I wish and hope that all of these ecosystem programs do not lose sight of all of these great businesses already in process and working in Connecticut.
That's a great point.
Have to, because that's where the quantum growth will come from.
I can tell you, it's pretty much a split 50-50 in the state's ecosystem and its hub system. 50% support on startups and 50% on existing second-tier businesses. So the state is providing substantial support. So you should feel real good, and we'll inject you in those opportunities. So again, you can't get away.
Fair enough. Thanks, Tom.
That's what I'm here for, Ken.
Ken wants to announce to everybody that Tommy is very good at painting exterior homes. He has a lot of free time on his hands.
Exactly.
And actually, he's going to help our plumber friend next week.
Yeah, we haven't heard from Robert. Robert, any more questions for us? So, feel free to, hopefully we've done a good job of answering those that you've already asked up to this point. So, Eric, talking about free time,
free time.
You've been like just shining beacon here for the past 45, 50 minutes. Well, you clearly love what you're doing, but it seems like you are consumed by it. Would that be a fair assessment?
I am really, I've been asked by the state and by UConn to provide some support into this. Clearly, I'm not resisting. I'm very passionate about this, and I've been given the opportunity to make a difference. I feel just privileged to be in the position where I can support a number of programs, and I can see the benefits right from the grassroots right up through. It's just, I'm enjoying it. It's exhausting, but I go to sleep with exhaustion, but with a smile.
I have a question for Eric, if that's all right, sir.
Of course.
Admiral. Over the past few years, we've gotten to know Eric well here at On the Horn. He's been a guest a few times. It would seem to me that you have, though we're talking about business and making money, etc., you seem to have this air of philanthropy toward helping businesses. I'm wondering if have you reached a certain point in your life where you've just said, I'm done making it for me. I'm really, my passion now is making it for other people and watching their success.
That's a lot of it. I've been privileged. I've done well in my various business offerings, and now as I look to how I can really make a difference instead of just building my empires or whatever, I just enjoy watching others succeed, and that drives me beyond anything I can express in words. And it's that stage in my life where that's what I'm doing, and beyond that's what drives me every day. So keen observation, and that's really where I am in my life.
And I have to explore one area before we're done. Knowing another passion of yours, talk to me about the tournament. Talk to me about what you think the ladies and the men are going to do.
Oh boy! All right, yes,
basketball. Basketball tournament.
Well, absolutely. What else is there?
No, that's important. That's
open
important.
for business, and
you were
NCAA.
looking at one of the number one fans here.
There's
probably tens of thousands of number one fans.
I go to the tournaments. I'm a
female rocketry or something. I don't know.
Oh wow, there you go. But it's I see that both programs have some opportunities. If you remember last year, the men's team was written off, and then they swept right through the local tournament, and then just went on and captured that. They are gelling at the right time. Now, again, there's a lot of things that we have to remember. These are young students, and everything has to work just right. But they certainly have the talent. And they've been clicking much more than they had until, so I think there's an opportunity. I don't know how far, but
you did see their potential round 2 opponent, didn't you?
Well, I did. I happened to see Kentucky.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's.
the hands-on favorite to win it all.
Is Kentucky.
Yeah.
So they're right at, second, if they make it through. Hopefully they're not looking beyond their first round.
That's one of the great things about the tournament, though, is
yeah.
that any given day anybody can beat anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, go back to Gonzaga many years
That's
ago.
right.
I mean, they, what talk about a surprise.
Yeah.
But knowing Eric, he loves the men's game. But with Elsie, the women's game
the
is
women's
even
game,
closer to his heart.
we're really passionate about the women, and it's
Well, and they win more.
Well, they win more, but
it is more fun. Yeah, I'm just saying.
But it is. I think that, again, I can see them getting to the Final Four. I think it's refreshing that they're just not the hands down favorite.
Yeah.
Because there are 4 or 5 teams that they could easily lose to and have lost to this year. So I think it adds a little more intrigue to that. They have the talent. There's some teams they're going to put up a big challenge. So I think they'll get to for Final Four. I think, and then just see where it happens.
Brian, points out my Zen overview, so I'm going to do that right now. Sorry, Brian. What's the great thing about college basketball is that it's really purely about the sport, and it involves everybody, men, women, families, all ages. It's something that's, for lack of it's highly competitive, no question. There's the whole betting, thing going on, but there's just a real organic, wonderful, wholesome energy.
And if I can throw in one last thing, is I see these students in class and walking around on campus, and they're just delightful people.
They're young kids that
and,
are in
and it's just, I see another
time.
side of them that are just, it is completely wholesome, and what an amazing balance that they have in their lives. So
there you go.
Yeah, really impressive.
Well, folks, thank you. You've been tuning in this evening to Open for Business. Our guest tonight has been Eric Knight. Eric, great show. Thanks for sharing all this.
Thanks,
Ken Cook, I'm really glad to have you on board as co-host here of Open for Business. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Dave. We'll see you next week, folks. Another show next Tuesday night at 5:30. Please tune in. Take care.
Ciao.
At home, work, or your favorite coffee shop, if there's a Wi-Fi connection, get on the horn. Hartford's heart and soul. onthehorn.com.
Budwitz & Meyerjack PC is a large Connecticut-based CPA firm with offices in Cheshire and Farmington, Connecticut. Large enough to handle engagements of enterprises with annual revenues in excess of $100 million, yet small enough to cater to smaller businesses and individual clients who expect personalized attention from partners and staff. Client service is the cornerstone of our practice. Our clients have a fixed fee for their audit and tax work. What this means to the client is we're approachable. Personal communication and client services make for strong relationships. Budwitz & Meyerjack, certified public accountants.
Sandits Travel for business and leisure. We'll take you there. Sandits Travel has been proudly serving Connecticut since 1960. That's over 50 years. And we're ready for another 50 years of superior service. Whether you prefer to come in, call in, or log on, we invite you to explore how efficient, diverse, and fun it is to book through Sandits Travel. Save your money and your time with us. Sandits Travel. We'll take you there. Better than a cod liver shake, and a lot more accessible. On the Horn.